It's alive, and it's coming to us in just a few short months. It's Metal Slug Tactics, and we finally have a release date and a slew of new information. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, my coverage of turn-based strategy RPGs, regular strategy games, or the gaming sphere in general, including news posts like these, a like on the video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated, especially if you're looking forward to seeing Metal Slug Tactics content from me going forward into fall 2024, which is the release date that we have now gotten, courtesy of a new trailer from the dev team. If you're not aware, Metal Slug Tactics was announced back in 2022 by developer Like Here Studio and publisher Dotemu, and then went on a long hiatus, a long, mysterious silence that had myself and pretty much everyone else extremely concerned that we were never actually going to see the project come to fruition. But now, they have come forth, they've blessed us with a bunch of new footage, new screenshots, a lot of insight into what the actual gameplay and mechanics of the game are looking to be, and I'm so happy that it's coming to us very, very soon. One of the biggest new bits of information here is that the game is no longer coming to just Switch and to Steam as was originally announced, but it's also coming to the PS4, the PS5, and the Xbox series of consoles, so everyone and anyone, anywhere except for mobile players, will be able to play this when it drops by, what, at the latest, late November, maybe early November. We'll see. It's fall 2024, that's what we know. Now, looking at the information that we have here, there is actually a surprising amount of gameplay mechanics that we can draw some insight into, even though it's just a short 50-second trailer that we've received today. Right off the bat, the entire game is looking to be drawing a lot, and I mean a lot, of inspiration from Into the Breach, an interesting puzzle tactics game by Subset Games, the famed developers of FTL, which unfortunately never did nearly as well as FTL did, but which I do very much enjoy, even if it gets frustrating at times. Metal Slug Tactics seems to be borrowing a lot of the mechanics from that game. You have a very small squad size of 3 main soldiers, consisting of, the main cast of Metal Slug, Fio, Marco, Eri, etc., who you'll choose from when you go on a mission. Once deployed, you'll have a map of missions that you can go on, which will give different rewards, XP, munitions, money, etc., and enemies will respond to your advance within a certain number of missions, much like when enemies will respond to your attacks in Into the Breach. Once you go into a mission, you'll have a standard grid-based map available to you, which we already had some insight into. We'd already seen this a little bit with the initial trailer that came out, but everything looks a lot more refined now, and we can get a lot more information from it. Every character has a certain amount of HP. At level 1, it seems like this is a universal 10 HP for all the characters, but we will see how that changes. And you can also have guest characters show up on certain missions, as seen in this screenshot here. Each character has their own special abilities, attacks, and ranges that you can utilize. Eri has wielding explosives like grenades and grenade launchers, for example. So, of course, who you bring on a mission is going to be of great importance. Each mission will have a variety of different objectives. Some will be protecting an NPC or a certain objective point, killing bosses, etc. And again, like Into the Breach, you'll have an option to reset your turn a certain amount of times when and where you need to. It also seems like we might be able to see where attacks are going to land and potentially what order enemies are going to act in based on this turn order button here, which again is very much like Into the Breach, so you can move out of the way of attacks, take out priority targets before they're able to attack you, etc., etc. We may even have a sort of power grid mechanic, again like Into the Breach, that we can see here, wherein maybe we will lose a map or maybe not be able to use certain abilities, things like that. We'll have to see exactly how that's going to work out. Excitingly, it does seem like we will have super abilities in the forms of bringing in actual heavy tanks, like anyone who's ever seen Metal Slug knows exists, which are going to have their own array of stats and abilities. We can see Tarma here in a battle tank, the SV-001, that has an armor score. Presumably once that armor is depleted, it is destroyed, as well as a number of different attacks and actions it can take, all of which cost fuel, so you'll be able to see exactly how much room you have to play with the different abilities that you have on hand once you're able to bring these tanks onto the battlefield, and I imagine they're going to be a big force multiplier for you once you can get them out there. The enemies we've seen thus far have a wide range, as expected from Metal Slug, to just villagers with swords, to zombie dogs, slugs, literally, giant robotic battleships, tribal villagers with spears, etc., etc. The wide range is represented here, and while I have not played Metal Slug for myself, I've seen plenty of it over the years, and it seems like we've got a lot of influence from across the entirety of the series here in Metal Slug Tactics. Looking at the new gameplay trailer, we have explosive barrels that we're going to be able to blow up to destroy enemies that are around them. Combo attacks called sync attacks, wherein I believe if you have multiple allies in range of one enemy and you attack them with one, the others will chip in an attack as well. I haven't been able to fully figure out what the mechanics are behind that, but I'm sure we will with time. We, of course, have a wide range of weapons available as well in terms of shotguns, laser rifles, grenade launchers, melee weapons, grenades, all sorts of fun stuff, and each character does have their own unique abilities for traversal, damage dealing, the ability to gain dodge, etc., etc. Your characters will level up over time. It doesn't seem that you will have the ability to gain XP for people you don't take on a mission, so balancing that is probably going to be very important. And you get extra XP seemingly based on things that you do, whether you complete all of your objectives, if characters get certain amounts of frags, sync attacks, KOs, etc. So spreading XP around is probably going to be an important thing to keep in mind. And going along with our character levels, we will be able to get medals that we can utilize to upgrade special actions for each character, such as Ares' Grenade Juggle or Tarma's Slug Kick, etc. This, once again, very reminiscent of Into the Breach, where you can use power cores to upgrade certain aspects of your mechs. If you have not played Into the Breach, I do highly recommend you check it out. That's probably going to be a Saturday Strategy Spotlight somewhere in the near future. And I'm excited to see what type of builds you're actually able to get online for these characters and what the progression is going to be. Into the Breach is very much a roguelike, a more hardcore roguelike than some others that have come out recently are much more roguelite. But I'd be surprised if that was the case for Metal Slug. I imagine this is going to be a more linear progression in terms of the campaign, and I want to see what we can do with each of these characters, and if we get access to more characters than just the base classic Metal Slug 4. We're also able to see that there's going to be anti-unit in particular effectiveness attacks, such as this anti-mummy attack here, whether that's going to be something that's specific to any given character, or due to a certain attack, or due to some sort of in particular battlefield effect, we will have to see, but it is something that is good to note. To use our special abilities, we can see that we have a heart meter separate from our HP meter. Not entirely sure how we gain these as of yet, if it's a just turn-by-turn basis, or if it's something you get from kills, or maybe an on-battlefield resource, we will have to see. But there is a fairly hefty price attached to a lot of these. When upgrading Ares' Grenade Juggle, we can see the cost goes from 7 to 6, and in certain points of the map, we can see 0 hearts, 4 hearts, 5 hearts. So I imagine we might actually have to be fairly stringent with how we use some of these special abilities. It's going to be interesting to see just how powerful they can be. Of course, beyond just the mechanics, there's a lot to discuss in terms of the game's visual style, its soundtrack, and it all looks great. There's just a certain aesthetic that Metal Slug games have that I've just never really seen properly replicated in any other game. And while I wouldn't say that the art style for something like the character portraits is perfectly indicative of the main series games, I feel like it definitely gets the spirit across, and it looks great in its own right. All the little character animations here, from enemy attacks, death animations, bullets and bombs flying everywhere, fun character cut-ins. It looks like it's going to be a very fun game in action, and it sounds phenomenal as well. What little we've heard of the OST from the first 2 trailers that we have seen is so much fun, very Metal Slug, and all of the sound effects feel appropriately chunky and explosive, as you would expect from anything with any sort of military sim aspects to it, like Metal Slug. All told, I'm extremely glad that we finally have some more information about this game. I'm extremely glad that it's coming to us so very soon, and you can expect that I will be covering any and all information about it leading up to its release, including the limited time demo that's coming as part of Steam Next Fest. We'll be streaming that, we'll be drawing as much information from it as possible, and I will be making video after video about it, so keep it tuned here if you want to know more about that. Are you excited for Metal Slug Tactics? I know I am. Leave it down in the comments below if you are or are not, if for some reason you are not. What do you think of the inspirations from Into the Breach here? It struck me immediately as soon as we started seeing actual mechanics in this trailer. I'm excited about it, but I know that was a pretty divisive title, so I want to see what you think about that as well. With that said, though, I'm going to wrap this one up here. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.